That's great news, General. Congratulations.
On the contrary, I mourn.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to Waste of Space, where we analyze aspect ratio usage in cinema one movie at a time. The 1994 film Street Fighter is presented in the aspect ratio of 2:3:5 to 1. Now, I like this movie a lot, and I can understand if some people think it's bad, but I was sorta surprised by how it utilizes the 2:3:5 aspect ratio. Not that it's amazing, but rather it's just good all throughout. Sure, you'll get shots where one person is on screen and that's it, but I was a bit impressed with how the frame is used elsewhere. I'll start with the opening, which is one of the best parts of the movie. The widescreen here is showing off all the credits while also showing off news coverage and General M. Bison's headquarters. In many ways, the movie just throws us into its world while we do our best to settle in. As credits whiz by and we can see this movie had 5 editors, we are introduced to Bison, his crew, as well as the film's versions of Chun-Li, Colonel Guile, and others. The wide frame in this opening really shows off crowds, which we see more of in the next scene introducing Ken, Ryu, and Sagat. The main fighting environment is also shown off, as is the space where the fighting happens, though I was mostly impressed with the crowds, which includes the moment Guile arrests everyone for violating curfew.
You're all under arrest.
Two of my favorite scenes in the movie include the one where Guile talks about his plan to infiltrate Bison HQ, and the later scene where he gives a rousing speech to the troops. I think the movie does a good job in these two scenes, having Guile front and center while addressing the soldiers. The scenes look good visually and make clear that he is the one in control, giving the orders and ending Bison's reign of terror once and for all. Speaking of Bison, most location shots we get in this movie are of his headquarters, and each one manages to show off the exterior in different ways, with someone or something hanging out within the frame. You keep getting fairly good shots of Bison's HQ later in the film when our heroes are infiltrating, which includes shots where the characters roam through the environment without cutting. And here I segue into how this film uses space. This was probably the thing that impressed me most about how it uses 2:3:5. It's an aspect ratio that really lets its characters roam around and exist within the environment. The scene of Chun-Li hanging out with Bison comes to mind, but my favorite example comes earlier when Bison is going over his future Bisonopolis project, learns about Guile's death, and then monologues about how great he is. The camera shows off the room while also following Bison around as he talks about his ultimate goals. It's a good scene, technique-wise, but of course it's a great scene thanks to the performance of Raul Julia. All his scenes are great, but that goes without saying. These spacious shots remind me that the camera work in this movie seems aimed at using 2:3:5 in the traditional way, where the camera lets the actors move around in the scene. Of course, this is an action movie adaptation of a popular fighting game in the early 1990s, so there are more cuts and shot changes than a movie from, say, the 1950s. One of the last things I'll talk about is the film's climax, where the action is ramped up and these different techniques are being used seconds at a time. Now, I can't imagine the majority of the people watching this movie are going to go, "Oh wow, look at how it went from a close-up to a wide shot and then a shot of those soldiers and it's just Guile and Bison." And in many ways, this last act of the film demonstrates that this movie, from the start all the way to the end, uses the 2:3:5 ratio in a satisfactory but unimaginative way. Other than that one shot with the snake or the scene of Bison monologuing, what's really special about the use of 2:3:5 in this film? Did I just waste time talking about the cinematography of a movie most people consider really bad? I don't know, but I think there is something to be said about how even a movie like Street Fighter uses its aspect ratio pretty well, even if it's nothing to write home about. Hopefully you enjoyed and or got something out of this video, even if it's just, I think this guy really likes Street Fighter the movie. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.